All right, hey guys. So today I have my friend Adam with me, and we're going to be answering some questions about coding boot camps. Before we begin, I want Adam to give just a quick intro and tell the viewers who you are.
All right. Hello, viewers. I'm Adam. I'm a self-taught software developer, about 8 years. Started with developing mod tools for Xbox 360 saves as a side hobby, and then from there went to UTD with Ben here for a couple semesters, dropped out, and then went to a coding boot camp at UT, the full-time 12-hour web development boot camp. At the moment, just doing prototyping for certain secretive projects that I can't really talk too much about, but yeah, so I'm prototyping in the EE space, and then I don't know, Mr. in philosophy and problem solving in general, and
Great.
I'm here today.
All right, so what I wanted to start with was you dropped out of college and you went to a coding boot camp.
Did do that.
Why did you do that?
Why do that? Well, initially I dropped out of college for lots of reasons. I know you shared the end of college is like a lot of math and not really very beneficial. So I had completed all but one of the programming courses that were offered at UTD within my first 2 semesters, and basically deemed I got back behind on my G's, so I had to spend another 4 years, and I was way off on my prereqs for the courses that I wanted to take. So I was like, it's a lot of money, a lot of time, probably not worth it. I already know basically everything that I'm being taught, and they have a standardized test you take at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
And I was top 1 percentile for everything. So I'm like, that then includes graduates is the thing. So people going in and graduating get the same grade, and it's like, probably don't need this. So dropped out, and then did the coding boot camp to kind of, make my knowledge a little more specialized, because I had a lot of general knowledge and all over the place stuff. But
Did you know what you wanted to specialize in?
Not really. I guess I really just want something functional so that I can get a job. Because really I had experience with half a dozen programming languages. Nothing really was super set as far as it, and basically the whole front to back end, the fact that it was full stack was beneficial for me. And that's why
So you wanted to do full stack. You knew you liked kind of like front end, back end, or you were like, I wanted to figure it out?
I wanted to figure it out more than anything. I mean, really, yeah, it's I don't know exactly where my skills line up, so I'm going to find a place where I can make them line up and then go from there.
And your main goal was to get a job when you were entering the boot camp? You're like, I want to do the boot camp to solidify my skills and then get a job?
Yeah, that was the initial plan for it, 100%. Yeah.
Okay. So what happened when you went through the boot camp? Well, what was the experience like an average day? What did that look like?
Yeah. So basically it's you start out about 8 a.m. every day, 5 days a week. Yeah, 8 a.m. 5 days a week. Get a lunch period at 4 hours in, and then do another 3 hours after that.
So it's 7 hours total?
Yeah, about 7 hours or 7.5 hours in the day. About that. So we start out with basically a section off this is one thing they're working on, this is another thing they're working on later in the day. Because the way that the program was initially set up was supposed to be a 24-week program, and then they condensed it down into being full-time in 12 hours. And so one thing that's really important to notice is that it says full-time, but you're spending, the expectation is 35 hours in class and then 35 hours out of class as well. So 70 hours is really, if you really want to be successful, that was the little, this is how much time you need to put in, because it's a lot of work to learn all this stuff, especially from scratch. I came into it really knowing what I was doing with basically everything else, because it's a real quick refresher for 2 days, and I'm way on top of everything that they're teaching me. But for other students, it was really, really challenging. They had a counselor specifically laid out for in case you're having a mental breakdown because of how stressful it is. It's not even a joke. People were really, really stressed out, and they were actually wanting me to tutor them, even though they have tutors in the course, because it's just way too much for a lot of people to handle, because you're just getting thrown a ton of information after mission. It's so much your brain can't even handle it if you never worked with it. So there were a couple. Sorry.
And what are they throwing at you? Is it you're sitting in a lecture style class where someone is doing a PowerPoint and they're showing you code?
Gotcha.
Or you actually have a laptop and you're coding along or something?
Definitely coding along, 100%.
Okay.
So there were some PowerPoints, some general concepts that they need to teach you to get it, but it really wasn't. It was not foundational. The computer science was 2 days, and that was all the computer science. And then the rest of it was just getting this, and then you pick it up as you go. So really, there isn't a strong computer science foundation. That's the thing that if you go to a really good college, like MIT or something like that, you'll get that. I didn't notice that in UTD or other colleges where you get
Yeah.
like learn about lambda calculus and all that stuff. And it's like, it's not. It's yeah. You can't. The strong computer science foundation certainly isn't there in a boot camp. And you do get that in college, at like a high level. And like there was a thing I pointed to recently that really strengthened that up for me. But
And are you working on projects, or are you like coding through tutorials?
yeah, basically like coding through tutorials, really small snippets. Like, okay, I'm going to build this section of like a to-do app, or first we learned about. There's a lot of different things we learned about, so we go the whole thing. So CSS was like the first thing. All right, have this box be over here. Have this box be over here, and they do like four different things, and increasing complexity obviously as the day goes along for each subject. So it was actually really like there was a lot of stuff there. It's just the amount of stuff that you went through is like you can't comprehend it all and like digest it to where you actually
Sure.
have a really strong understanding, unless you're really on top of it. And that's why 35 hours out of class was like the big thing. It's like you need to be on top of your game in order to really cement this experience and the knowledge you're trying to.
And would they have like deadlines for you, or like expectations of, I want to see a project that has these 5 things done by Friday or something like that?
So we did have homework assignments, and they were done weekly.
Okay.
And then we also had big projects. So it's like we had three projects, and it's like this is the stuff we're working for the first one, second one, third one as we develop our skills. So the first one was just like I don't know, like an app where I forget exactly what they all were, but so one I did was like a hangman game that was all on the front end, nothing crazy at all, but it's like just make it out and there you go, done. Ooh. And then there were also projects that you could set out yourself. Like, so there were the projects, the homework assignments that they had you do for you. And then that was every week. And then you have a big project that you can join a group with and complete. And there were like two of those. And so the big projects, you set out the tech specs and then like, all right, this is what you want to build. Good, cool.
So I looked at like the curriculum online of just like the different topics that they taught you, and it looked like they did like a ton of stuff that they kind of like pack in.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that you went too in depth into anything, and it was more of kind of like a broad level. Does that sound like about what you? What do you think of like the curriculum itself, of like the technologies they taught you?
The technology they taught was actually probably the best thing. Like literally, I just grab the curriculum of one of these courses and just use that as a guidance to learning on your own. Like it's probably some of the greatest advice I can give you, because it's so fast. It's real. I mean, well, specifically for that one. Like if you can take a longer course, because the what you want out of it is basically really impossible or really difficult to achieve with the amount of time that you're trying to get a career in 3 months, 6 months. That's from very minimal experience. Like that's a real challenge. College is 4 years for a reason, and even those guys don't even.
Yeah.
You don't even know what you're doing coming out of college. You're like.
So you'd recommend like a less intensive program?
Well, the thing is, they're still going to be intense. It's going to be intense, probably no matter
what you choose.
Yeah. Realistic program. Understand that really. It's not just what they're teaching you in class. There's also time outside of class, and you need to understand these concepts in order to succeed throughout the rest of the course, because if you fall off, it's really hard to catch back up. And they even mentioned that in the course, and it's like, that's a real thing. So the biggest thing is, as far as like advice for what kind of coding bootcamp you'd want to go to, if they siphon off your paycheck once you get hired, that's a big plus, because there's some things I'll get into later about the saturation of the market and stuff. And then,
what would you say, like,
sorry,
on that was one thing where I was thinking like the like nice pluses of a boot camp, and some things that came to my mind were like, one, I feel like you get some more motivation. If you have a lack of motivation to do it on your own, having someone there giving you the curriculum, that's the other thing. There's might be some people that want to learn coding and get a coding job and just have no idea what they should be learning.
Yeah.
And so this is like something structured that they'd be able to look at. And then the third thing is like the network effect and getting like a job afterward, and whether they have connections with companies. So if you have something like that, they're incentivized as a company to get you a job because they're getting money when you get a job.
Yeah, exactly.
And so that makes a lot of sense that like that's the sort of thing that.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is that if they're doing that, they have to be good. You
Yeah.
know, it
They be out of
incentivizes them
business.
to
Yeah.
specifically do exactly like a lot of if you're not going there to try and get a job out of it afterwards, obviously you don't need to be concerned with that.
Yeah.
But if you are, really aim for that. And
Yeah.
and the big thing, you know, I say like you lack the discipline to, or the where do I start? You
Yeah.
know, it's like pick anything, go.
Yeah.
With the boot camp, you know, it gives you that structure, right? But what about after the boot camp? That's the big thing. No one thinks about the time after. You need to have that portfolio built up, and if it's not strong enough by the end of the boot camp, you need to keep going. And it's not a problem. Like people can
Sure.
do that, but also it's like if you have that discipline, you know, why not get self-taught too? Like pick up a
Yeah.
curriculum of anything, go for it.
Yeah.
So the overlap where I think they're extremely like beneficial is minimal when whether or not you're able to be self-taught and whether or not you need
Compared-
that structure.
Sure, compared to coding bootcamp.
Yeah, exactly. Compared to the structure of coding bootcamp, like you still need the discipline to be able to set this project out for you and to develop these projects.
So would you say there was anything during the coding bootcamp that you felt like would have been hard to learn if you didn't go to the coding bootcamp? If you had to just
Yeah.
like learn that on your own.
Infrastructure of the web, basically all the different pieces that come together to make a web app.
Okay.
Like where do you start is really the big thing. So where do you start? Just look at back-end technology like database, and you get like
Sure.
and all these technologies, the structure of the web. Because like the thing is like you see,
Yeah.
oh, I got HTML, okay, cool. I got JavaScript, all right, cool. Now what? You know, like
Sure.
that's
what I was gonna say, because like there's a lot of things in isolation. I'll teach you how to use a server.
Yeah.
I'll teach you how to build a website. But then there's
The integration.
fewer parts. Yes, that are like, all right, how do I take a database and a website? How do they work together? How do I add authentication to all this?
Yeah,
How do
exactly.
they mesh
Good thing.
all together? Yeah, I feel like that is less.
Yeah.
So that makes sense that like the coding bootcamp is able to go in and kind of
give you that.
yeah.
Because the whole thing is like they're trying to give you everything, all the tools that you need. It's just hard to actually come out of it with like the strength of those tools
Yeah.
that a job would demand. And then also I want to get on the the one thing. It's hard to distinguish yourself if you don't have a degree, because the thing with coding bootcamps is like now there's a bunch of people who have skills
Yep.
who don't have a degree. How do you? I mean, you get like 50 applicants for this one position. It's one position. You know, how are you gonna, be the one who gets filled in that space? You really need to prove that you can do the job. So I honestly think like you need to have demonstrated the capacity of like a mid-tier developer in order to get a starting or entry-level position.
Do you feel like there was any? So okay, you graduated from the coding boot camp.
Yeah.
Your goal through going through it was to get a job.
Yeah.
Afterward, what was it like to try finding a job? Were you feeling like when you're looking, all this stuff was looking for all that extra experience that like you would have to have a mid tier?
Yeah, exactly. So companies want experience. Don't have experience? Do you have a degree? No? Okay. There we are.
Was there any weight that they're like, okay, I went to this boot camp? Did they give you any like, oh, okay, he went to that boot camp, he must know some things?
See,
Was there any of that at all, or was it kind of like, eh?
I think the issue is that it was so early on. So I took my boot camp at the beginning of 2017. The boot camp that had been around for about like a year, the specific one that I went to, and boot camps in general, like 2012, 2013 is earliest you find, and 2015
Yeah.
is really when it started actually going. So the thing is, they didn't have like this, like nobody knew about them. Like the thing about
Yeah.
college, like, oh, this person went to my college that I went to, so yeah, let's hire them. You know,
Yeah.
the network infrastructure wasn't there yet, and that's what the big thing that we're trying to push is like connect with all the people who've been to this boot camp, go to every other boot camp,
Yeah.
and the boot camps that follow up after you connect with them on LinkedIn, and really try and build infrastructure that will enable people to get hired from knowing that, oh, I went to this boot camp. Without that, it's
So the boot
it's not there
camps
yet.
themselves are starting to build up their reputation.
Exactly.
That it's more valuable for their students. So
Yeah.
when you're looking to choose a boot camp,
Mm-hmm.
would you recommend finding one? I guess the reputation of the boot camp is important.
Yes, 100%. Not all boot camps are created equal. That is a very powerful and important statement and an important thing to understand. Look at the hire rate is like probably the most important thing you can do. A lot of people went in thinking like, oh, there's a lot of software jobs, and then 3-6 months later they don't have a job after going to the boot camp.
Yeah.
It's not a guaranteed thing. You really need to put in the work, and it's not like I'm probably sound really cynical about it, but it's not like it's impossible in any capacity. Like this is totally doable to get a job. I mean, there's tons of people who work without degrees. It just takes work, and you have to really build up a very strong portfolio to demonstrate your capacity, when you don't have those numbers.
Yeah. So if you were to like look back, you know what you know now. You went through the boot camp. If you were to like go back in time, would you do the boot camp again? Would you choose a different boot camp, or would you do a totally different strategy?
I think probably for the majority of people who went to that boot camp would pick a different boot camp. Not because it's. I mean, again, it's like it was too early for that boot camp specifically. Find one that's reputable. You're spending money on this thing.
Yeah.
In the meantime, if you don't find one if they're out of availability or something like that, just do it on your own for a bit. See if it actually like is gonna work. You do need eventually at the end of the boot camp. It would be very important for you to have the discipline and the capacity to do things on your own. Like coding software development is going to be, a lifetime of learning. That's the way it is.
Yeah.
Everything's moving so fast. You can't not be okay with just growing growing your skill set, because all the stuff that you used 5 years ago is now useless, especially in the web space. But so you need to be able to do that, and if you can try and build out that skill set beforehand, that's a great idea. That's probably what I would do. Is I try to actually build up my discipline levels and just like the overall structure of my life, so that I can take all that knowledge and then manifest it into like a lot of like very meaningful projects that I can get jobs.
So you would recommend some programming experience going into a boot camp. You don't want to be like a fresh newbie.
Absolutely. It definitely depends on the boot camp. Like I went in with like a lot of knowledge. Like, I was like 7 years seven. A little hazy. I was rusty is basically what it comes down to. So I stopped for about a year programming, and I wanted to like just quickly get back up to pace, and then like formalize my knowledge. It's really helpful. It is the strongest asset for every individual there had experience. The people who didn't break down had experience. And it's not even you don't need like a ton of experience. Just really like a high school Java course. If you took a high school Java course or a program course, just like really simple, you're good. Like understand syntax. If you can understand syntax, you'll be able to ride that for a very, very long time, because people get caught up on that and don't actually understand when the issues are, like they don't understand when it's syntax or it's actually the logic of the problem. And that was the biggest fall point for most people, is that they didn't have they couldn't break down the software into the problems that they were trying to solve.
So were you able to use the projects you did in the boot camp for like your portfolio when you were looking for a job? Yeah,
that's one thing, is that that was a big thing that's actually the big objective that they were trying to do, is get these big projects out.
Have.
Yeah, exactly. The one thing is that, at least in my specific instance, like the projects that manifested weren't very significant. Yeah, okay. I feel like that we could have done better. I think that was probably like a lot of grouping error.
So kind of like weak group projects.
Yeah, exactly. And so I ended up doing the last one on my own, and I made a decent one. Another thing is like auto-filtered resumes. Like that's okay. You'll get hit into that a lot if you don't have work experience and don't have a degree. And that's
where you wouldn't even get to the interview part.
Yeah, exactly. If I get into the interview part, I got a job. But it's like, I mean, I'm not even kidding. Like I know what I'm doing, and it's like give me a test that I'll do, and So there are some jobs that actually have like a program test for you, and that'd be a really good route if you actually know what you're doing and you have like a weak portfolio. Unfortunately, the ones that I was too late to a couple of the ones that I applied to, and then eventually I just got de-incentivized and went a different route.
Yeah.
But.
And you mentioned also like just the market itself is super saturated.
Yeah, super saturated, and that's what the filter comes into, because they have plenty of people who have experience or an amount of experience, and then if you don't have an experience and you made it past their auto filters, but the thing is, like these jobs are still going unfilled, like, but they have a filter, they have a restriction in place that doesn't enable people who don't have experience or a position, and like they have like forms they fill out. It's like, oh, I'm technically not this, technically that. Yeah. So really, like, don't feel bad about like hazing it a little bit.
Yeah.
Like it's like because the thing is like they'll filter you out through the process, but you can. It's very easy to be early or filtered out too early, and it's like I don't have these skill sets. When you see the application, don't worry about it. Just apply. Get yourself in there.
Games where you have to just until you hit the right one where like you just make it past.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the big thing is that like software guys like their software, so they're gonna use it to parse through it. But it's definitely doable. Boot camps aren't there's definitely space for them for sure. I would if you need that structure to start off, if you're willing to spend the money, I guess go for it. My one thing again is like if you will need the discipline to be able to develop projects that will build up your portfolio if it's not already going to be set in stone by the time you complete the boot camp. And make sure that boot camp's reputable, and if you can, that they get paid after you get a job, because a lot of people will feel left out in dust, and it's not a one size fits all, and it's not an absolute answer either. So just be aware of those concerns.
The other thing I would mention also is, like, before you even hit up a coding boot camp, there's free online coding boot camps that you can kind of like tinker with before you even go into a coding boot camp.
Yep.
See if you like it, get a little experience.
Yeah, exactly. Like free code camp.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It's really good. I'd worked with it too before I went in, but I already listened to. But I've been a big follower of them for a long time. So yeah, free code camp. I mean, you can do Code Academy. There's tons of resources. So many resources.
Google is your friend.
Yes, and that's literally what's crazy is that was actually like a big thing in the boot camp too. Is like
did they teach you how to Google?
Yeah, I mean it's true. I mean, but just to show the understanding, like you have a way to go. You have the fact that you need to be like people need to be taught.
Yeah,
how to Google. Like,
I see it all the time. People are terrible at it.
I know. Yeah. So it's like there's just so much stuff like around software, just around the actual like programming part that you'll need to develop, and that takes time.
Yeah.
So honestly, I would not recommend it, especially compared to a degree. If you're it's really like if you're going to a great college, great. Fucking go awesome sounds good. If it's like a everyday college, I mean you can do a coding boot camp. Again, the degree, the piece of paper does work. Mm-hmm. It's not the end all be all. Again, you probably you're more capable after coding boot camp than you are a degree in a lot of ways, in my opinion. Especially specifically
skill
practically.
Wise, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Just straight up skill wise. Higher ability, it depends. Really.
That's why you're gonna have to pick a strong boot camp.
Pick a strong boot camp and have projects that you want to do. Really, a big thing is if you're getting into software development just because it's a nice job, it's really going to be challenging. You have to want it really bad, because especially with the amount of hours that we're putting in 70 hours a week, like it's demanding. And that's why, the counselor, like seriously, it's challenging, but if you want it, you can do it. So do it, rawr. I don't know, but
cool. Thanks for joining, Adam.
Yeah.
Do you want to do any plugs?
All right. Well, I guess I've got something working out in the background that you guys might be interested in. So in the meantime, before that's out, if you want to follow my Twitter,
okay.
Twitter.com/Adam McAdamson, which is my handle for everything.
We'll link you.
Link in the description. There you go. Maybe later.
And that's
later.
That's where later we would find the top secret stuff when it's no later.
Oh yeah,
no
potentially. Yeah. For that, and then also I'm YouTube potentially.
Okay.
So just if you see this video, it might already be here. So you might
check the description.
But yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.